Hey everybody, I just wanted to, we actually didn't record the last one. I recorded about half of it. So we're just gonna run through this again today, and then we can post it on YouTube. We're gonna kind of fast track the results and the regatta section and really focus on Alex's team management, talk about the Helix and then the rigging tips. And then we're going to post it to YouTube so everyone can watch it. You can share it with your crew. So just going to quickly fire through this. Tonight's presentators, we've got Alex. He's a local sailing expert. I met him in Vladivostok. He's been living in Vancouver now for just over 5 years. We sail on a Melges 32 program together. And then there's myself. I manage SmartSails Vancouver, primarily race here in the Pacific Northwest, but I do events around North America. 2021 racing season, you know, it was kind of short due to COVID, but we did get through it. Regatta results, I'm just going to fire through this. There was 4 events. There was 3 distance races over the course of the year. We had some shorthanded races. And then we had some one design races, usually out of our VYC, and then Melges 24, Martin 242 Canadian Championships on the West Coast. Vancouver Island racing kind of update. The Royal Victoria kind of kept racing through the whole pandemic, which I commend them for doing that great job. The 2022 Racing Vancouver, the VARC series, this is it right here. You can find this on their website. These are all the events, the yacht club that's being held, if it's a distance regatta or shorthanded event. On the island, they have a series called the Virus Series, Vancouver Island Racing Series. They've got a bunch of events as well. You can find this on their Facebook page. Check that out, or you can always email me to share this slideshow with you, and you can check out the dates. One Design Racing, you know, there are One Design events every month at our VYC. Looks like there's going to be a big 242 North Americans in an IMO, and there's also a 2.4 and mini 12-meter fleets over at Royal Victoria that are really active right now. So Machine, Alex, I'm gonna pass this over to you. If you just wanted to talk about team management, just basically those are all the events, and this is a good time of year to start thinking about which events you want to go to and how to organize your team for the upcoming season to have the most success possible. So Alex.
Yeah, sounds good, bro. Yeah, I just want to say thank you again for having me here today. And yeah, the 2021 season was pretty awesome. We had some big successes with our teams during Canadian Nationals and 242 and Melges 24. Just want to say thank you to SmartSails for supporting us and supplying the right gear and equipment to being fast on the water. Probably going to fast track here to the team management and how to organize a team. So maybe we can get to the next slide here. I think that the key element of the whole team thing would be a keen group of sailors, super enthusiastic people, open to learn, a lot of trust in each other, and self-discipline. This is the 4 bullet points we're looking when we organize a team for any program. The next slide here would be team goals. It's very important to figure out your goals for the season, for 2 seasons, maybe for 5 years, and decide which regattas you want to do. Set realistic goals, where you want to be placed at the regattas based on your boat, on boat setup, and how well your team is doing, and set up your schedule and boat for best chances to meet all your goals and meet your expectations. So the next slide here is a calendar. I have a full-on Google Drive calendar with all my practice days, with the programs, with boat work days, team building, and racing events. It helps to be on top of the things and understand where and when I should be. So next slide here is a position. It's jobs. So sometimes you sail on a small boats, 24 footers, sometimes it's 30 or 50 footers. I think it's very important to make sure that all your crew members they have certain level of level of comfort in their doing their job on the boat. Like let's say on a 52 footers, like you want to make sure your bow person is super comfortable with what they're doing. Or if you have a troubleshooter, you got to make sure that he is feeling fine going up the mast in certain knots of wind or whatever. And the next key element here is a skill. You want to make sure that the person who does the job has enough skill to do that, and a physical ability. It could be strengths, it could be body weight, and so on. Like me, I'm usually the smallest guy on the program, so usually I do bow or trim. So I definitely not necessarily the right fit for a grinder. So this is like just a pretty simple example here. The next slide here.
There we go.
Playbook. So I'm going to spend a bit more time here. So the playbook, as this is I think it's one of the playbooks from the bigger Melgeses. So it's definitely helped to figure out in what part of the race what crew member does what. So here we have a crew members on the list. We have tasks and notes assigned to them. So in our playbook, we have a press start. We have 3 minutes after the start, first beat, rounding, sailing to the offset, first downwind, second upwind, and so on. So we have everything assigned to each person. Positions on the boat and tasks, and depends on the wind strengths, your tasks can be adjusted. So it can be, person can change the place on the boat, like bow guy sometimes can go in the back of the boat and just kind of hike there if the boat is planing. And also everyone has a job and tasks assigned to them, but if something horribly goes wrong on the boat, don't just stick to your playbook and say like, yeah, this is my job, I'm doing this. Always be open-minded to help out your teammate and if they're in trouble, and always stay team. You lose as a team and you win as a team.
Perfect. Awesome.
And the debrief, I think it's very important part of any team is debriefing. Like after every day on the water, you try to understand positive and negative sides of the day, what you did good, what you did bad, and what you try to figure out what needs to be better and how to get better. I think that going into the Canadian Nationals in 242, Drew helped out us a lot. We spent a few days on the water just doing some sail testing and figuring out our sail package and a rig package. So Drew helped out us a lot, and we designed a new kite what helped us to be quick on the water and do really well in the regatta. Thank you, Drew, again.
No problem. Next page.
Yeah. And have fun. That's the most important thing. Have fun sailing together with your friends.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Alex. So I'm going to turn the page here and just chat about some pretty cool, neat technology. Working with SmartSails over the last 10 years, been pretty lucky. We're usually on the forefront of the science and technology behind the sails, and we just keep moving forward and keep using our R&D and our sailors, our salesmen, to continuing to refine sails and continue to move forward and make them better. So basically we have this new technology, and we've named it Helix, and it's basically ability to start having sails with share loading ability. So all the load in the front edge of the sail on these free flying sails, like a code 0, used to be in the basically the torsion line, and you'd have to load this torsion line up very, very tight for the sail to furl. So basically, SmartSails design development teams have worked closely with the top racing programs around the globe to apply our unique design and manufacturing capabilities to inherit problems when combining free-flying reaching sails with furling. In the past, these sails required tight, as I was saying, heavy, straight, highly loaded cables to provide furling functionality, okay? These cables would prohibit optimal flying shape, and which Helix load sharing technology now resolves, okay? So Helix design uses the sail structure now, opposed to instead of the Luff structure, to help support the sail. So the sail is actually now self-supporting and it's more forward projecting. So you're getting a better sail shape. And I'm going to kind of follow through with that. So Helix sail shaping is different than a cabled sail. Okay, you can see here down the middle, kind of the rainbow colored sails here. So on the left, you can see the cabled sail. It has a very straight luff. Okay, and you can see over here on the right-hand side is a Helix sails, the exact same code. It's probably like a code 0 or code 65. You can see that the luff isn't straight anymore. It actually has a little bit of a positive forward projecting luff on it. So it's not straight. So it's better in terms of sail shape, and it's better for use, and the sail is just more efficient with that sort of sail shape. Helix sails tend to flatten, project the luff, and provide a wider entry angle, requiring specialized design molds, which North Sails is an expert in. Cabled sails tend to hang off the cable when tightened, and adding unneeded luff curvature. So basically you need to have this super tight heavy cable in the front edge of the sail, on the luff of the sail, and the sail used to just kind of hang off of that cable, and you would still get quite a bit of a luff sag, so the sail would get very deep. Now we use a much smaller cable. That's not a torque cable, it's more of like a load cable, or a just basically a cable that helps support the sail. But all this, mostly the sail structure itself is the one taking the load, or the majority of the load. So you can see over here on the right-hand side of the screen, there's the yellow and red. And basically the left-hand side is like a 3DI composite sail structure. So we're actually laying down tapes along the luff of the sail to help reinforce the luff of the sail so we can take those loads. And on the right-hand side is a paneled sail Helix structure. And we actually just step up the cloth and make the cloth slightly heavier and lay the panels out in certain ways so that it can take the loads that in the previous sails that the cable used to. And over here on the right, there's a bit of a diagram that kind of shows how much less load is on the sail. So you can see on the left-hand side is the tack load, down the right luff length. So, you know, in Vancouver, we're probably 10 to 20 meters in luff length. And you can see the red is the Helix cable, and the gray is is like a standard cable, or cabled code 0 sail. And you can see it's almost 2 to 3 times the amount of load you'll need to put on the sail for it to work efficiently relative to the Helix sail. Once you start getting into super yachts, we're talking about, you know, 3 to 4 times more. But down here, it's still 2 to 3 times more. So it's a lot less load on the boats itself. So Helix combines torque. So basically, I've tried to explain it, but basically Helix combines torque cable-free furling with load sharing technology to create sails that are more versatile, self-supporting, and forward projecting. With Helix, the sail membrane takes up to 80% of the tack load. So we usually try to set it at 75-25. This projects the luff forward to achieve a flying sail shape not restricted by a tight cable. So you can see here in this middle picture, this is a shot looking up the luff of the sail, and you can actually see how the sail projects out to weather, which is very nice in terms of sail shape. And if you have ever used a traditional code 0, a lot of the time you get a lot of flapping along the leach edge. And that's just due to the sail, usually the rule where the mid-girth has to be 75% of the foot length for it to be considered a spinnaker. With these new Helix sail structures, you don't get that flapping as much anymore due to that forward projecting luff and just the structure and the aerodynamics of the sail. Tack loads are reduced because the aerodynamic load is applied to the sail and not the cable. Okay, so this Helix technology, pretty neat stuff, especially in code 0s, which is, you know, I would say in the Pacific Northwest, when I start working with a racing program, adding a code 0 and a drifter, other than, you know, your traditional J1, J2, A2, A4, your downwind kites, your upwind kites, adding some specialty sails, the code 0 and the drifter in the Pacific Northwest, where we tend to sail around islands and have very geographical winds that tend to be a little bit lighter. Having a code 0 and a drifter on a racing program is key to success in the Pacific Northwest. So we talked about free flying sails with the Helix, and now this technology has moved into upwind sails. So where we really started using this technology, and this technology really advanced, was during the America's Cup. And you could see, if anyone followed the America's Cup, when the boats were off the foils, they had to basically ease their outhaul, and they had huge camber. And then as the boat started moving, they would start pulling their outhaul on. And then as the boat started getting on the foils, they needed a super flat sail shape. So they would be maxed out on their outhaul, and they would start pulling on their Cunningham to basically make the sails flat as they could. And the 3 boats that were using North sails, it was a huge advantage. The sails were lighter, stronger, and were able to basically pull and adjust into different shapes much more efficiently than the American Magic boat that was using, I think, a combination of Doyle and Quantum. So this Helix basically devised conventional design limitations, naming one sail to be used across a wider range of conditions. This is engineered for active camber control. So camber is basically the depth of the sail. Helix upwind enables sailors to radically adjust and control the sail shape and power while in use. So what we're talking about, power and sail shape go hand in hand. So a deeper sail is going to have more power. A flatter sail is going to have less power and be more aerodynamic. So you can use a Cunningham or Halyard, you're either pulling down or up, depending on the setup on your boat. So with Helix upwind, you can increase range without increasing the number of sails, which is pretty important. Okay, so just a quick little recap here. So, you know, Helix technology, and over here on the right-hand side, you can see this is the TP52 World Championship, and you can see 2 sails, the 2 boats, the red and blue boat here. They have the Helix structure in the luff of the sails. So you get wider sail range, okay? Reduced overall inventory. You're always trying to keep the boats as light as possible. You have fewer sail changes, so the sails are going to be used in a larger bite my tongue here. Larger in between lighter airs and heavier airs, and your camber is adjustable while in use. So that allows the sail to basically get fuller or flatter as it needs. So you can have a wider wind range. That's the word I was looking for. So the future is Helix. So this technology started, you know, in the America's Cup, filtered down into free flying sails, now is into upwind sails. So, you know, keep an eye out of the evolution of Helix. And this is, you know, as all this technology, no matter if it's in sail making and furling and rigs and running rigging and standing rigging, it starts at that upper level and then trickles down, and it trickles down into, you know, the sport boat fleets, then the club racing, and then it eventually ends up in the cruising. So keep an eye out for Helix, because Helix is definitely the future in sail making. So kind of going further forward on this, we're using technology here at North Sails quite frequently in engineering, and we're constantly trying to evolve and use advanced approaches to sail making. So we've actually started working with this company called Cyclops, and this is a smart Luff technology that we've kind of co-engineered with Cyclops Marine. And it's an easy to use Bluetooth smart sensor that optimizes your sail by monitoring sail load in real time. So basically this would be attached to the tack of your code zero. So we are talking about 80% of the load wanted to be on your tack and 25% on the cable. So this gives you real life monitoring about how much load is actually on the cable. So this is an exciting new product. It is manufactured exclusively for North Sails by Cyclops Marine. So we're the only sail maker you can get this product with, and whose data-driven approach has made the industry experts made us industry experts in the load sensing programming. Okay, and this load sensor can be uploaded directly to your smartphone. Okay, so here's an actual image. You can see over here that the load, the smart Luff sensor is attached to the tack of the sail, and you can see over on the right hand side, that's how you traditionally lace code zero onto a cable or a furling unit, and that's just usually used with Spectra. So over here you can see the little load sensor, and you can use Spectra or or that yellow line that they're using there. So it's available in 3 sizes. It's integrated into the tax of the Helix off-wind sail. Applicable to off-wind sail types is a CS, so it is an additional cost for this load sensor. Data output, so you get a tack load. Okay, so the tack load is what you're getting in terms of output. Connection, you got you can use your Bluetooth or Cyclops gateway. You know, most of us would be using Bluetooth, and the load display would be Bluetooth enabled phone or instruments, which is Cyclops gateway. I don't think many people have that, so the chances are you're going to be using your phone. Alrighty, and then so some more. So you know, we're working with companies to try to get more information and more using technology to help us advance our knowledge on these sails and make them, you know, work more efficiently, or figure out you know, how much usage we've had on these sails. So Spinlock a few years ago came out with this sail device called SailSense, and basically it's a little, as you can see, a little blue piece of you basically you sew it on. You can see on the right and left hand side, you just hand stitch it onto your sail, kind of like a cleat or something like that. And basically this sail is a monitoring and management tool that acts like an odometer, and it's taking the guesswork out of tracking both quantity, hours of sail use, and quality, the nature of that use, in a tough and simple, unobtrusive device that it's attached to the sail. So basically, this reads how much the sail is being used and what type of use the sail, the sail is being used in. North Sails has teamed up with Spinlock, so we're actually building an app, so this is all can be tracked again on your phone. So this technology is pretty cool, and it's all very easy to use because you can use it right on your phone. Now I wanted to talk about, so as I talked about North Sails and Helix, as things start trickling down, it ends up in you know, it goes through, you know, from the America's Cup to the TP52 series, say into the sport boats, then down to the club racing, and then eventually it gets brought into the cruising. And during 2020, when COVID really hit us globally, the racing community basically was shut down. And what we did as North Sails is we really focused on the cruising community and how we could use our technology and our team to kind of, you know, focus on cruising and advancing the sails in the cruising. So we came out with 3DI Dacron, which is a 3DI full polyester 3D molded composite sail. So that's pretty neat. And then now the Helix has kind of trickled into the cruising community as well. And I know a lot of people on this call have been listening to this webinar, racers, but a lot of you guys are also, you know, involved in the cruising or may have a cruising boat, or also kind of use your boat for it because the Pacific Northwest is beautiful for cruising and racing. So this is kind of a neat sail that has kind of trickled down in terms of the technology. And now you can get Helix in your cruising. So this is a new state-of-the-art downwind sail type, engineered strictly for the cruising market. It's customized to boat size and sailing style. So the Helix Furling Gennaker is suitable for any type of boat, super yacht, multi-hull, monohull cruising. These Helix Furling Gennakers are top-down furling sails. So top-down is much more efficient than top-up. The sail furls much nicer and stays furled. So the sail doesn't get damaged. It's much more efficient to furl. The sale price, so when say if you would like a quote from one of these, the sale price does include the Helix Luff structure and a purpose engineered Luff cord. So that's kind of like the Helix Luff cord that I was talking about. You can kind of see the projection on the front edge of this Luff. You wouldn't be able to do that with a traditional cable. Helix Furling Gennakers are available in material type suitable for lightweight UV cover and short-term furled storage. So you can actually furl the sail. You can see down on the foot and the leech of this sail, it has a lightweight UV cable. So this is the first kind of downwind sail that has been able to add a UV cover, which is kind of nice. You can furl it up and leave it on for the weekend. I never recommend leaving it up all the time, or if there's a strong wind warding, because free furling sails tend to have a way to unfurl themselves, even though they're nice and tightly furled, maybe even with a Velcro clue. So the three main points is that this sail is very easy to handle. You're going to broaden your horizon, so you can have less sails on board because this sail can reach and run and stow and go. This cable is much smaller than your traditional torsion cable, so it's actually going to allow you to put the sail away in a much, I don't know, easier manner. It's a lot easier to handle, and the sail's gonna stow a lot smaller than your traditional torsion line. So this Helix Furling Gennaker, pretty neat stuff. So following into that, so this Helix Furling Gennaker there was huge success. We sold, I think, thousands of them around globally. And SmartSails has developed, and you can kind of tell, and I'll show some pictures after this. SmartSails has developed a more running orientated Gennaker, specifically for cruisers who want the reliability of a top-down furling sail without sacrificing the ability to sail nice and deep. Okay, so here are a few kind of key points on this new product. So we're actually using nylon, where previously in the Helix Gennaker, we're using a polyester cloth. Now we're using a nylon, which is similar to what any other downwind sail is using. We have an integral luff cord for top-down furling, so same sort of luff cord that was in the Helix sails. And what you actually do with this sail is you tension it all the way up, so then you unfurl it, and then you ease it roughly about 1% of the luff length. So on a 40-footer, you'd probably ease about 1.5 feet. You'd ease it down to get that proper luff curvature. Then when you were, say, ready to furl it up and you were done with downwind sailing or using the Gennaker for the day, you actually tension the luff cable back up so it's nice and taut, and then the sail furls really easy. So this is actually the deepest furling cruising sail SmartSails can build with an internal torsion line that top-down furls, or an internal, I would say, luff cord. I wouldn't call it a torsion line, a luff cord. And the Helix, I mean, the Easy Furling Gennaker is not a Helix sail. We didn't need to build the luff up for structure to help share the load, because it is a downwind sail. So it's not the same side of loads that you're getting from a reaching sail or a Code Zero. So here are some pictures. So you can see here on the left. So, if you are looking for a cruising sail that's going to be easy to furl top down with a cable in the luff, these are your two options. This kind of gives you kind of an idea of what they look like. So on the left-hand side, you got your Helix Furling Gennaker. It kind of looks a lot like an A1 or a light wind reaching sail. And then over here on the right, you got your Easy Furling Gennaker. So that kind of traditionally looks like your proper A2, big shoulder on it, a lot more sail area, going to be able to sail much deeper angles. Okay, so I would say the Helix Furling Gennaker is a good sail if you want to reach and run, kind of all purpose. Whereas if you really want a traditional downwind sail, I think the Easy Furling Gennaker would be for you. And then I've also got here, you can see, this is a polar diagram for the three kind of cruising sails that we offer. We've got our Helix G0, our Helix Furling Gennaker, and our Easy Furling Gennaker. You can see that there's a bit of a crossover and all, but you can see this Helix Furling Gennaker. You can read, it's kind of hard to see that, but you can get down to about 120 apparent wind angle. So that's pretty impressive for, a reaching sail. So that's just the polar diagram of the three sails. And if you have any questions and you want to help maybe a cruising program, or you have a boat and you're not sure which sail you want, give me a call and we can kind of go over this again. So we're going to hop back over to Alex here. Alex, he's a pretty good rigger, and he's helped our programs and his programs with kind of setting the boats up for success with the running rigging and the standing rigging, and making sure when you go on the water that you're not leaving, anything, you're basically checking all the boxes off, so that, you're leaving it down to you and your team to make the results around the race course, and not having any sort of excuses of why things didn't happen. And Alex is going to go through basically what you should be looking at in terms of running rigging and standing rigging before your season starts, to ensure you have the most chance of the most success on the water. Alex, do you mind chatting about that?
Yeah, sounds good. Just gonna go real quick here, guys. And if you're gonna have any questions after that, feel free to reach out. So I think that when I started getting any of our boats ready for a season or race, the first thing on the list would be Halyards and control lines. We always use low stretch materials, so we can have the full control over our sails, like making sure that we can keep the draft consistent in certain spots, and we got like a full control over the sail. Then we were looking at the line size. We want to make sure that we use a proper line size for the deck hardware and blocks we have on the boat. The length of the line is very important too, because we don't want to have too much noodle in the cockpit. We want to have just the right amount of line to do the job. And it's also can be weight saving thing too. And the chafe, you can add up the chafe covers or chafe protection on your Halyards or control lines if needed in certain areas such as the shift boxes, maybe turning blocks, and so on. So the next thing on the slide here is, do you mind to go to the next slide, Drew?
Yep, no problem. Sorry about that. There we go.
And the next thing to check would be your deck hardware, making sure that your winches all good and in good operational conditions. Just maybe pop up the wind, check out the gears, and the poles are good, the springs are still tight. And one of the common mistakes people do is they put too much grease in the winches when they service them. So making sure is that you use just enough grease, so you don't add up additional friction to that. Clutches, clutches, sometimes it's worse it just to clean the clutches, check out that the jaws are still good, that they're not worn out. Like I prefer to use ceramic jaws on the Spinlock clutches. Those seem to be better and they have better gripping ability and they're a bit nicer to the line. Traveler and jib cars, like make sure that you got all the ball bearings in your cars. Maybe wash it with some dish soap and put some one drop in it, and make sure that your tracks don't have any dents in it or something what can cause damage to the car or the ball bearings. And if you see that you're missing ball bearings, you can just swing by the local rig shop and get some new balls and add it to the cart, which gonna improve the performance of your deck gear. And sheaves and blocks, usually before a big event, like I go up the rig, just check all the sheaves, so they don't have any wear on them, that they're not broken, because the broken sheave may cause your spin Halyard, jib Halyard, or main Halyard be stuck there after the race. So keep an eye open on that. And the same thing at the deck level. And for some racing boats, it's very benefit to have sheaves with the ball bearings. So just like you guys use it in J70 fleet, like Melges 24 fleet, like a ball bearing sheave boxes, they're like pretty cool. Allows you to hoist the kite way faster. And standing rigging. So with the standing rigging, keep an eye open on the swages and rods. Just check the swages, connection between wire and the swages once in a while. Make sure that there is no cracks on there, or if strands are breaking or not. And the same thing with the rods. You don't want to have any damage on the rods, because it's very important to keep your rig up. Pretty good thing to check is the spreader bars and spreader ends. Make sure that spreaders are solidly attached to the mast and they're not wobbly. Lubricate the turnbuckle so you can easily adjust your rig tension and a rig tune when needed. Check out the mast stab, that it doesn't have corrosion on it, that the stab is good, that it's not elongating. Because if you have stab and it's like ovalized and tack to tack, it's just going to store the distortion and changing your sail setup tack to tack. And a rig tune and tuning guide. So make sure that your rigs are, if you race one design, that you follow your sailmaker's recommendations on that, and you follow tuning guides. That's gonna help you to stay quick on the water.
Well, one thing I wanted to touch base on that, like, I find like a lot of boats in Vancouver, or I think maybe, most people at club racing, if you don't have a one design tuning guide, you kind of have your rigger set your rig, and that's it. I would strongly suggest adjusting your rig and keeping notes on how you adjusted and how your day went that day, because there's some big adjustments that can be made in the rig, and especially if you have changing conditions. Like, your rig should never be the same tension in light to medium as it is medium to heavy. Saying that, you may not be an expert, so you might be a little scared to make some adjustments, but a couple turns here or there and just make some adjustments and look at the sail, see how the shape changes, see what the difference is on the water would make a big difference. So I think if you aren't making rig adjustments, and you're not in a one design boat, or you don't have a boat that has a tuning guide that's been done for you, I'd suggest looking at maybe a one design boat that has similar style as yours, and try to use that tuning guide to kind of play around with your rig a little bit, because I think a lot of people just set and forget, and making rig adjustments could make a huge difference in how your boat performs, and also how your sails perform with your rigs. A lot of the time, not a lot of the time, but I've had some times where people say, the sail isn't corresponding properly, or looks right, or whatnot, and then we make some slight rig adjustments, and the sail looks a lot better. So it's all kind of comes together. But if you're not playing with your rig or adjusting it, and you're not finding yourself having great success on the race course, I'd probably look at doing that. And if you are have questions or whatever, reach out to Alex, reach out to myself, reach out to a rigger, and kind of get their comments, and a couple turns here or there is never going to hurt you. And it will probably at the end of the day help you get a little faster in the water. And the biggest thing though is recording the data that you do. So you kind of know what you're doing. You're not making adjustments and just guessing and going out there. You need to make an adjustment, write down the adjustment you made. And then when you get back to the dock, go back to your original setting, and then have kind of a base setting that you start off of. Just a quick comment there, Alex.
Yeah, of course. Like, and as you said, like a rig too, and adjust a base point when you start. Like, I think that with this year we were working on a few boats with Drew together, and like we went completely off the rig tune and tuning guides. Like, and we use it as a start point. We just adjusted our rig to the style we sail in, and we're sort of adjusting it like more and more, and the boat was just going faster and faster. So and yeah, keep a track of your data, and it's gonna help you to stay fast in every condition. So
sounds good.
Furling gear, so like making sure that your head stay, if you're a cruising boat especially, like making sure that your head stay tension is proper, so it's not too loose, and it's allowed to just furl your or jib efficiently. And on a code zeros or A sails, like sometimes people have a problem so furling those, and it can be just a lack of torsion cable tension. So sometimes you gotta adjust it, make it a little bit tighter. On cruising boats, also would probably recommend to have a Halyard deflector, or if your jib is the wrong side, if the luff of the sail is too short, you may add up a strap at the bottom or at the top, just to reduce the distance between the shift box and the swivel, so which is going to help to furl your sail better. Angles of the furling line is usually recommend to have it close to 90 degrees to your head stay or furling gear, and make sure that your fair leads alongside the boat are in a good operation condition, that the shafts are not shot, or if it's fair leads, that they're still good and can run free. And low stretch lines, like recommend to have those on. I personally like using Marlowe MGP 50 furling lines. Those are really have a really nice grip on it, and they have a really nice setup for furling drums, so which allows you to put all the energy and effort you put into furling, put it directly into gear, and furl the sail faster and more efficient. The next slide here is reefing. Making sure that your off reef attachment point is set up correctly, is that that it's not, that it's just a bit past your reef point on the mainsail. Inboard reefs, pretty handy thing to have, so make sure that you have those. You can set up your inboard reefs going straight to the cockpit, or you can set up like a few snap shackles or reef hooks. What's gonna work pretty well on the mast. And for cruising boats, would probably recommend to have a strong track. It's definitely a great tool to have in your toolbox, because strong track allows you to raise the sail up and down super quick, and it has a minimum friction on it. And for the race boats, if you like, you can upgrade to Harken bat card system, which does exactly the same thing and works very, very efficient. The next slide after that is repeating settings. I think that the biggest thing is, as Drew was mentioning before, like keeping notes and everything, and have repeating settings is the key to be fast on the water. I think here's like a few quick things what allows our programs to get back to our settings at any condition, as marks on the spreaders, marks on the Halyards, marks on the jib sheets, kite sheets, main sheets, and so on. Turnbuckle gaps, we use turnbuckle gaps just to record how tight was our rigging. Essentially, if your gap is getting smaller, then it means that your rigging is getting tighter. So and on the water you don't have a tension gauge, so you can use turnbuckle gaps to track where you're at if you forget. And tension gauges, pretty handy thing to have in your dog box. Rake wire and collect data. Keep collecting data, guys. Adds a key element. And if you really not sure what things you got to look at, like reach out to Drew or SmartSails guys. They can help you out with that.
Perfect.
And electronics, I did a lot of one design events, like after the day of racing, I see like a lot of boats with a dead instruments, and I recommend to have like a reliable source of power on the boat. That's what's going to help you to stay current in your electronics and have consistent data. Calibration, very important to have calibrated tools. What gives you accurate data, your right wind angles, your right apparent wind angle, and so on. And at target numbers is again, it's it just helps you to understand where you're at with your settings, if you're slowly or fast, and understand what you can change to make your boat go faster, or at least to the numbers you usually sail at. And all this three elements, reliable source of power, calibration, and target numbers, they kind of work together. So
awesome.
Yeah, and emergency kit, I think that it's important to have emergency kit on your boat, like a knife and scissors in case if you need to cut something or repair your sail. Have some sail tape, like Cuban fiber tapes, kite tape, needle and some thread if you need to patch the sail real quick, and hand tools. Sometimes it's a good idea to have a few screwdrivers on the boat. And if you're doing like any offshore sailing, like a long distance sailing, overnight sailing, like a pretty good thing to have on the boat is a hacksaw or a powered zip cut tool in case if your mast is going down, so you can just get rid of the mast real quick.
Perfect.
I think I'm done with this here.
Yeah, well, I think we're just kind of wrapping up. I just even this is a bit of a quick version of what we did the other week, but Alex and a couple of my friends own a Melges 24, and they've been campaigning it now for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. And they've upgraded boats. They've gone out, they've got new sails, and they're planning to head to Miami for the Worlds this year. And they're doing a little fundraising campaign. You want to just quickly chat about that, Alex?
Oh yeah, of course. Thanks for the great opportunity. Basically we're a group of young sailors from Pacific Northwest, and we've been campaigning together for a long period of time. We've done numerous events. Here's some of our results if you want to check it out. So as right now, we're fast approaching to Melges 24 Worlds in Fort Lauderdale and in May. Prior to that, we're gonna do a lot of training on the local waters. We're leaving BC in the end of April. We're going to Charleston for the race week, where after that we're doing some speed testing in Fort Lauderdale before Worlds and some training, and then rolling into the Worlds. So this is the plan for now, and we're working hard on it at the moment. We're doing like a small fundraising thing for our campaign, because like every dollar counts, and we're trying to make this trip happen as much as we can with the best possible outcome. So our fundraising thing, we guys made a bunch of soft shackles, and you're welcome to buy those as a $20 a piece. And if you feel that you want to set your own price on those, on top of those $20, you're feel free to do that. You can pick it up in Vancouver or in Victoria. So yeah, and reach out to me. Here is like my contact information and our Facebook page. So feel free to reach out to us, and we will be really appreciative to any support you can give to us, guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Alex. Yeah, they're the only boat I think planning to head down. So if you can help support these young guys, get down there and get a good result. Just quickly going to wrap up. We do this kind of our boat show period. There is no boat show this year in Vancouver, but we are going to offer a discount. The deadline for the deposit would be February 13th, and my delivery dates are starting to push into the late spring. So contact me now, not no. If you're reading that, that's an error there. Contact me now and I can get your pricing. We get an order in and get it going so you can have it for the sailing season. If you have any questions about this webinar, reach out to Alex or myself. We always love to talk about sailing, love to help people make their boats go faster, work more efficiently. So feel free to reach out. I appreciate everyone tuning into this and hope you guys are ready to prepare for a good 2022 sailing season. Let's get stoked. Thanks a lot, guys.